Hi everyone, this is lesson 95, part 4, and we are still focusing on the past participle and our principal parts lesson. The simple present tense of the verb is your base word. And I'm going to focus on clean because I've been cleaning intensely for a while, cleaning every nook and cranny of our house and sterilizing all of our toys and things. So we're going to focus on clean. That is your simple present, and your simple past tense is cleaned. So what you do is since this doesn't have any spelling rules, you would just add your past tense ed to get your simple past tense. Now here are some sentences that puts us in the simple present. We're just going to use our base word. I clean my house every day, which is what I do. No auxiliary verb. But for our simple past tense, I cleaned my house for 12 hours every day last week. We don't have an auxiliary verb, and that's what you can tell if it's the simple past tense. We do not have the auxiliary verb. But this right here is a principal part, and this right here is a principal part. What number of principal part is this one? It's the first principal part. So there's 4 parts in our principal parts. This is the very first one. What is this one?
The second.
The third. This is the first principal part, and this is the third principal part.
Wait, what about the second?
It's not up here. We're just focusing on these 2 parts right here. The base word or the root word, base word or the root word, if it's a root word, it's coming from the Latin origin, right? The base word or the root word is key to forming every tense, unless it's an irregular. If it's an irregular, those need to be studied and memorized as much as you can. But if it's something like this where you're just adding on your ed, your base word is there to help you form every tense. Tenses are verbs. Tenses are fun. Are you guys having fun with this? Yeah, it's actually really fun to learn your tenses, and it feels like it just gives you an excitement and a power to be able to write and read and understand what other people are saying better. They can be played like a game. And maybe I'll make a game someday. Doubt it, but maybe. But they can. You can play these as a game. And this would be something simple that you could put on cards and use as a game. Tenses teach us about the action of the verb. That's what our tenses do. Tenses teach us about the action of a verb. Now, some of these, a lot of these, you can also use them as nouns. If you can put the word the or an, I mostly focus on the word the, then you know you can also use it as a noun. But we're using these as verbs. So if we said the dance, then it would be a noun. The play, it would be a noun. The drive, it would be a noun. The fly, it would be a noun. But we are going to figure out what these are and your different tenses, not all of your different tenses, but we're going to focus on the principal parts of each word, because your principal parts help you form and understand your sentences. So now if we look at the word climb, we're putting it in the simple present, and climb is your base word right here. This is your base word. Sitting all by itself. But then if we want to put it in the progressive, which is your present participle, you add the ing, but you have to have an auxiliary verb here. For it to be in the simple past, you have to add your suffix ed. This doesn't have a spelling rule. It's not a consonant vowel consonant. It doesn't have an e to drop. It doesn't have a y to change. So you would just add on your past tense ed. And then it would say climbed, right? Climbed. And if you listen, can you hear that say climbed? If you hear d, There is a reason for that, and I did a whole video, or a huge part of a video on that. So we won't go into that, but it doesn't say climbed, it says climbed. We don't say climbed unless there's a D there. And then we have climbed, which is sitting in our perfect tense, but this is our past participle. It's the same exact word, but a lot of people don't understand what's the past tense in the past participle. When you are working with regular verbs, your simple past and your past participle will be the exact same word. But you need to understand that the simple past does not take an auxiliary verb, and the past participle takes an auxiliary verb, and then it puts you in the perfect tense. We are going to go over and we are going to change the word dance and put it in your progressive. We're going to put it in your simple past, and we're going to put it in your perfect. So we're going to make the present participle the simple past and the past participle. If I take the word dance, what am I going to do to make it be in the progressive present participle?
Is dancing.
Dancing. And Daniel wants to put is in front of it. So see what we did? We dropped the E and you added the vowel suffix ing. So this ing is a vowel suffix. So how about your simple past? What do we need? Simple past does not take an auxiliary verb.
Danced.
So we have danced. What about the perfect? And then we drop the E and add our suffix ed, which means the past.
Had danced.
And had danced. Drop your E and add your suffix ed.
It was playing.
Okay. Play, where we're going to go playing. Do we change the Y?
No.
We do not change the Y because this is a vowel team. If there is a vowel right before the Y, you do not change the Y to I. You just add on your vowel suffix. So Paul wants to use is playing. So
or am playing.
Yep, we could do am playing. So this is a singular verb sitting in the third person. Played. We are not changing the Y because this is a vowel. And had played. Okay? Drive. What are we going to do there?
We're driving.
Driving. Drop the E and add your ing. Drop the E and add your vowel suffix. Is. This is an irregular verb. And what about here?
Drove.
It's an irregular verb. It's not drove.
Have driven.
Have driven. We're going to use a different auxiliary verb. Have driven.
Had driven.
But I'm just going to use have.
I thought you only did it in past.
This is a principal part, and it'll be your past participle. So no matter what, you can use, in the perfect with the past participle, you can use have, has, or had. And this one puts you in the present tense. This one puts you in the past tense, in the perfect tense. How about fly? We're going to go am flying. We're not changing this Y because you can't have double I's at the same time. Okay? So when you're adding an ing and there's a Y, you're never going to change it. What are you going to do for ace job? So we're going to do flew. And then what is your perfect, your past participle? You want have flown? Have flown. Spell. Spell is your simple tense. We're going for the progressive, which is your present participle. Okay, so we have our spelling. We're just going to add it on. What about right here? This is an interesting one. What are we going to do for your simple past?
Spell.
So you could do it this way, and this is the most common way. So you could do this, spelt, or you could spell it like this. This is the irregular, this is not, but if you just keep it with this one, it's so much easier to not go into the irregulars. And then we have has spelt. And then see how it says spelt, and there's a reason for that. It's because this is not a T. We don't say spelled, we say spelt. We say dance, not danced. We say played, not played. We say spelt, not spelled. Okay? Eat, what's eat?
Am eating.
Okay, am eating. Adding it on, just add it straight on. Good. Ate. This is an irregular verb. What's the next one?
Have eaten. Has, yeah.
Okay, have. Eaten.
Yeah.
Teach. What's teach?
Is teaching.
Is teaching. Right here. Good. Taught and
Have taught.
have taught. How about attempt?
Is attempting.
So is attempting.
Attempted.
Attempting, we're just going to add it on. It's not a consonant vowel consonant, so we just add on the ing. This is not an irregular verb. This is actually, there is a Latin root, right? So we have attempted. And what's this one?
Has attempted.
Okay, has. I'm going to push them together so we don't like miss that. Has attempted. We're just going to add on our ed. Call.
Is calling.
Okay, is calling. Third person. What about here?
Called.
Called. Had called. Just going to add the ed right on. There's not a spelling rule with that word. Bake. Am baking. Let's go with am. And bake has an E, so what are you going to do with the E?
I'm going to drop it.
You're going to drop the E.
Add yours.
Oops, and add your vowel suffix, ing. So, what goes here? What goes for your third principal part? This is the third principal part. What's your third principal part on bake?
Bake.
What is your fourth principal part on bake?
Had baked.
Had baked. Now remember, we could do have baked, has baked, had baked. You can use those three because it's the past participle. It depends on if you want it in the present tense or if you want it in the past tense. Employ. What about that?
Am employing.
Am employing. Should we do that? Do we just add on the ing? We just add it on right here because this O is a vowel. Not only that, you can't, since we're adding an ing with the I suffix, you can't change it either way. You can't change it because of this O, and you can't change it because of this I. Now, what do we have for Employed. Employed. Just add it right on. Have employed. Have employed. So we're not changing the Y. Here on ED though, look at this, Daniel. Here on ED, we're not changing the Y only because this is a vowel. If this wasn't a vowel, you would change it with the ED.
Is influencing.
Okay, so we have is influencing.
Influenced.
You're dropping the E and adding your ing. And then what are we going to do for
Influenced.
influenced? C-E-D.
Had influenced.
Okay, let's do had. Influenced. Pray. Daniel, pray.
Is praying.
Is praying. We're not changing it because that is a vowel.
Prayed.
Prayed.
Have prayed.
Now let's talk about this. This is the number 1 principal part. This is your number 2 principal part. Prayed is your number 3 principal part.
Have prayed.
Have prayed. Have prayed is your number 4 principal part. Please.
Pray please.
Pray please. Is pleasing.
I feel like that's a different meaning for please though. Pleased.
So, yeah, but still you need to understand that no matter what, that is your present participle. And if you're using it as a verb, that's what you're going to do. She is pleasing her mother by taking out the trash. Okay, so you're going to drop the E and add your vowel suffix. Pleased.
Pleased. Mm-hmm.
Drop the E and add your vowel suffix. Has.
Has pleased.
Have pleased. You're going to drop the E and add on your vowel suffix ed. Touch.
Are touching.
Oh, let's do are. Let's put it plural. Are touching. You do not need a spelling rule. You just add it on. What is this?
Touched.
Touched.
Good job. My heart.
You do not need a spelling rule to just add on your suffix ed to put it in the past tense. Has touched. Tickle. Okay, so are or is, either one, tickling. You're going to drop that E. This is a consonant L-E syllable. You're going to drop the E and add on your vowel suffix. How about right here?
Oh, tickled.
Tickled is your past tense. It's your number 3. You're going to drop the E and add on your vowel suffix ed. And then has tickled. This right here is number 4 in your principal part. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tremble.
Is trembling. Am trembling.
Am trembling. You're going to drop the E and add on your vowel suffix.
Don't forget to cross.
Trembled. Look, you're going to drop the E and add on your past tense suffix. This is your present tense suffix. This is your past tense suffix. Past tense suffix, present tense suffix. Have trembled. Past tense suffix. You.
Can you cross your T? No, on the other one. The first one.
Oh, I did. You just can't see it. Okay, wobble.
Wobbling.
Is wobbling. Is wobbling. You're going to drop the E and add on your present suffix. How about right here?
Wobbled.
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 You're going to drop the E and add on your past tense suffix. This gets you right here, if it's right here, it's the third principal part. First principal part, second principal part, third principal part, and fourth principal part. Have wobbled. Unpack, what are we going to do?
Is unpacking.
Is unpacking. You do not need to do anything to add on this present suffix. This is the present suffix. It's not, there's nothing in, you just add it on. How about
unpacked?
Unpacked. You just add it on. Now look, unpacked is your simple present. It's your number 1 principal part. Unpacking is your number 2 principal part. Unpacked is the number 3 principal part, and has unpacked is your number 4 principal part. Now remember, these are really the words. You have to choose the correct auxiliary verb on how you want to put it in your sentence. But these are considered your principal parts right here. And then you choose the correct auxiliary verb. But it will not be considered a participle. These are your participles right here. These are actually all of your participles, and they will not be considered a participle unless you have your auxiliary verb attached to it. You choose the auxiliary verb on how you want to write your sentence. Vanish.
Am vanishing.
Am vanishing. You just add it on. Now remember, this is considered your participle. This word is considered your participle. You choose the auxiliary verb that you want to put with it. Now, if you're just using vanishing as an adjective, then you don't use the auxiliary verb. It's still considered, when you're using it as an adjective, it's still considered the present participle. But if you're using it as a verb, you need to be using it with if you're using it as a present participle verb, you need to be using your auxiliary verb that you need to use in the sentence that you're making up. Now what about here? Vanished. So you just add on your past tense, ed, and it puts you in the third principal part, which is the simple past right here. And
had vanished.
So you want had vanished. Just add it on. This right here is your past participle. Past participle right here. This right here, look, they are the same. You just need to know how to use them, and you need to understand why they are the same. So let's say if you just had it in 3 and you don't have it here, and you're like, and they say, well, this is the simple past and the past participle. It's true, but you need to know how to make the difference. You can say that this is the past participle. Is that true statement? To say that this is the past participle?
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. But if you're not going to use, that means you just need to understand what the difference is and how to use them in a sentence. The past participle has to use an auxiliary verb. And the simple past does not. If you're saying it's the simple past verb, it's not considered the past participle, even though it's the same as the past participle. So confusing. Past participle, they are also adjectives. And you do not use an auxiliary verb with your past participle when you're using them as an adjective. That's why they can be crazy confusing. They look the same. They are the same. You just need to know how to use them differently. Wrestle. Look, this wrestle is your first principal part. What's your second principal part? Am wrestling. Drop the E and add your vowel suffix. The present.
Wrestled.
Wrestled.
That's past.
It's the past, simple past. Have, let's do have. Wrestled. Drop the E and add your vowel suffix. Drop the E, add your vowel suffix. This is a consonant LE syllable. You need to drop it. Zoom.
Is zooming.
Is zooming. Is zooming. How about your simple past?
Zoomed.
Zoomed. You just need to add it on. There's not a consonant vowel consonant. You just add it on. You don't have to do the doubling rule. You do not need the doubling rule here. And then let's do had. Had zoomed. Now remember, this right here, all of these words, when it's just your base word, when it's just the root, it's your simple present. What number is that in your principal part?
Number 1.
Number 1. This, look, all of these with your auxiliary verb is the progressive tense. It's your present participle. But what if we want to use zooming as an adjective? Do you use any of these verbs? You do not use any of those. So that's why it's confusing. If you're going to use it as a present participle verb, you need an auxiliary verb. If you're going to use it as an adjective, you do not use your auxiliary verb. Okay? So right here, we have all of these. They are your simple past. And you do not use an auxiliary verb. It just uses the ed. And right here, if you're saying, well, that's the simple past verb, it's not an adjective. But it's the same word, right? So you could say, oh, this is the past participle, because it is. You need to know that it's also the simple past, no auxiliary verb, and it can't be an adjective. That's why people get confused. But it's the same word. You have to use an auxiliary verb if you're going to put it in the perfect past participle. Auxiliary verb with your ed. And if you're going to use zoomed as an adjective, you do not use an auxiliary verb. Now remember, these are all your principal parts. So these are your principal parts right here. Your present, simple present, your present participle, your simple past, and your past participle. Those will be considered your principal parts. What are your principal parts? Number 1. Simple present. Number 2,
Participle.
present participle. Number 3,
Simple
past.
simple past. Number 4,
Past participle.
Perfect past participle.
No.
past participle. No, I don't want perfect in there. If your principal parts are these words, your simple present, your present participle, your simple past, and your past participle, you need to remember that your present participle is progressive. You need to remember that your past participle is the perfect tense. They will not show that in the dictionary when you're looking these up. You need to know how to use them, and you need to know what is correct. You need to have these things memorized. That's it for this lesson. I hope you loved it, and I hope you're not confused about your principal parts anymore. We'll see you in the next lesson, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.
Bye.
Bye.